Happy November, the end of it.
Yeah. Happy post-Thanksgiving, I guess. I mean, that's a shitty holiday, but
Can we
happy
just
food holiday? I
can
don't
we
know.
just do Christmas this week and then not worry about the rest of the year?
I am pretty geared up for that. I really wish that we could just like bam 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 get all the holiday shit out of the way.
Yes, I would be into that.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Um anyhow, welcome back to this week's podcast. Where we are over it. and uh sweaty. So this week is going to be brought to you by Baby's First Pie and the Queen of My Heart.
Ugh. This week is also brought to you by Montanaro and Belgravia.
I am your host, Madison.
I'm your other host, Jesse James. Oh, I have a weird mirror over here. Would you like to know why?
Yeah,
Because
love.
my snack corner today is just a gnarly ass buttered bagel, and I imagine I might need my tiny mirror to
Oh
make sure
yes.
that my mouth is not agonizing to look at. Also, proof that it is currently the holidays.
Oh, wow. It's like
Ooh.
a window into, yeah, I like it. That is nice.
Yes, my snack corner for today is an emergency snack, in case I desire it, and then an everything bagel with butter on it, because that's what I wanted and what was available, and I woke up twice this morning, once in the morning with body pains, and later in the afternoon with head pains. So now
Sick.
that I'm sort of normal, I just feel like putting lots of calories directly into the old garbage furnace.
I have a similar MO for today. My snack corner is this singular item, which is a drink, which is a hot buttered rum.
Oh,
So, yeah, I
uh,
purchased a mix from a grocery store where they
have
like make their own.
nice. Have you seen the recipe we received?
I have not. I
Okay.
haven't seen it,
You
but
should
I'll look at it.
you should
Is it for
bust in
hot buttered
there.
rum?
It is. It's
Okay.
for a homemade version.
Oh, yeah. Definitely will take a look at that
Mm-hmm.
once I uh put all this in my body. But yeah, it's for anyone who doesn't really know what hot buttered rum is, it's pretty much what the name is. It's just a lot of butter
Yeah.
melted into a rum and hot water mixture. So I figured, probably no additional snacks or calories are really needed to cover this, but also I don't really have anything worth snacking on at the moment. So,
We're not so different, you and I.
but
So, how was your holiday?
it was good. Um, so as I told you, I think after our last podcast, I had been in contact with somebody who tested positive for COVID. So, not that I wasn't going to do this anyway, but our Thanksgiving was small. It was just
Mm-hmm.
me and my family, and my brother, who was included in my family. And
Some would say.
some might say it was pretty good. We tested out a new recipe for a green bean casserole. Usually we just
Okay.
do the canned, just slap it all together and throw it in the oven type thing, but I actually wanted to try making the cream of mushroom soup mixture like from scratch. So we did that and it was really good.
Uh,
So
do you guys end up with a wet casserole or a sturdy casserole?
it's pretty sturdy.
Okay.
It's like the mixture that we used, I can't remember what all was in it to be honest, because my brother actually was in charge of making it. But it's pretty fatty,
Mm-hmm.
dairy heavy. So
It's
yeah, it's
pretty
pretty
Midwestern. Yeah.
yeah, it's substantial. It was really good. And I made um the first pie I've ever attempted, so that was fun.
What kind was
Mostly
it?
successful. I did a blueberry pie.
Nice.
Yeah,
It's a good
it was
pie.
really good. Yeah, I thought so too. I have always enjoyed berry pies. Um, and the recipe that I used called for an apple grated into the mixture, which makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
like when you think about it, consistency wise. But um, I had never heard of that, so that was cool.
I'm a big fan of zesting like lemon into pies if I have the option.
Yeah,
Or tarts, but pies are better for texture.
yeah, I did that too. I think I used the juice of like one lemon and then I zested. I think I used the zest from one lemon as well. And it was really good because I prefer more of a tart pie, I think, than a sweet one. So I really liked it.
Generally, we both have amazing eating habits, but the holidays are one time during the year where I wish we could exchange some of them. Uh, I made I had a like sit in the middle of the floor style Thanksgiving with myself, and that's not bad. Like I've had a number of holidays that are just like work on something and like take calls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This year, however, my my phone that is my like my Swiss Army everything uh, finally died mostly. So like it doesn't like turn on or anything unless I like basically do the hold everything and like click it twice bullshit.
Oh.
Um, which isn't such a big deal because it does turn on and it turns off properly if I turn it off properly, and it can send and receive calls when it's on, but it doesn't stay on uh, just sitting or plugged in. Best guess is that it's one of the new updates, like old battery, like overheat shut off things got adjusted. So I'm using this, which is a phone that I've had available, which is just like the next one up. So it's still an old phone, but it was lightly used roommate phone. It's crazy sounds outside, so if something fucked up happens, that's why. Uh, and I don't have like phone service on it. I just have
Oh,
um,
okay.
shit's getting dicey out there. Um,
Oh no.
uh,
People
I th-
wise, weather wise.
I think somebody is like uh, doing something on their porch, but it sounds like somebody is crawling across our exterior windows. Uh, anyway, so the thing that I made while also not really able to take calls, I turned on the old phone and sent messages to everybody that I like wouldn't be able to otherwise, and also like gave them a like I can't give you any like phone calls directly unless you want to set something up because the other phone is part tied in with my iStuff, so like I can do video calls and stuff just fine.
Hmm.
But I can't do like just regular phone calls, which is mostly tough for family stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so I had a very quiet holiday, but I opened up a barely past best of date a can of jellied cranberry sauce, which
Nice.
is one of my favorite garbage foods on the holiday, because it's just sour sugar. And then I got a pack of just 3 giant turkey legs, because at the store down the street, they usually do things only for rich people. But I went in there with a coworker, getting like the last bit of stuff right before work was done for like the holiday, and they had $1 a leg, like head-sized legs, and I cooked those and ate them. I I didn't do an amazing job on the spice, but I cooked the meat perfectly, so it was like almost a great experience eating them. The spices, I accidentally used one of the older cans of a spice that I intended to use the newer spice of, so it just was kind of like uninteresting. It wasn't bad. And I cooked it so that I got it up to temperature through like all of the meat, but I oiled it and buttered it, and then I flipped it partway through and essentially had like a fryer going in the bottom. And when I flipped it, I covered it. So I like did all the exterior cooking early, and by the time I had to cover it to keep it from burning at higher temperatures, I did like a half hour of it in like boiling oil, kind of. So
Nice.
it was really good quality. I just wish I had planned a little better for the flavor part of it. But overall, a good experience. And I also had I had some manager's special exclusives
Ooh.
for some of the other food items, but it went off pretty well. I also received a early Christmas package with some clothes. This is apparently a fishing shirt, which is why perhaps it has ventilation in the back.
Oh.
I've seen that before, but I've never considered wearing a shirt with ventilation, especially since I don't really sweat. So it's a new experience for me. It is nice. It is not nearly as warm as it is sometimes, especially with air quality window closing kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I also got a nice hoodie, and it was a pretty good holiday for loners.
At least loners didn't have to feel necessarily so a loner, because everybody, well,
Ugh.
most everyone was doing kind of their own alone. Well, some people were doing their own alone Thanksgiving. Hopefully
Hopefully
were.
more than there were not doing a lone holiday.
Yeah. But we'll never, well, I guess we will know soon.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
So yeah.
All the spices keep floating to the top, so I've got to kind of mix.
You should have gotten one of the little mini whisks or something for the sensory experience of
Oh,
listening to it.
yeah. That would have been nice.
So I just got off of, well, most recently I just got off of toasting a bagel while yelling at my roommate about politics. Consensually. This wasn't a fight. And that's more of a game we play. But prior to that, while getting my weird headache to subside, not weird, just a regular headache, I decided the best way to help with that would be to watch the Minions Christmas special, because apparently I can only feel better through pain. Sure, there's a name for that. I'm kidding. And the my suspicions were correct. It's bad. I'm not a Minion fan, so it is possible that your appreciation of Minions would change that. But it's a rough watch for people who don't like Minions. It is as much a commercial, almost, as Elf Pets. It is a half hour in which they show you three, I think, three and a very tiny Minion story, or stories that are only vaguely holiday related. Like they probably made them like not at all for the holidays originally.
Right.
And then in between, so I watched this on streaming. They inserted their own commercials in between the cartoon episodes for the new collection of 10 movies by whatever the hell that it's like Illumination, I think, the group that does those movies. They did a little tiny clip on each of those commercials of like, and here's something from the cast of, and it would be like one of their other franchises, like Pets or whatever. But of course, they're not going to have voiced stuff because that would cost money. So it's literally these like Mickey Mouse, like everyone's silent clips that are
sucks.
that are about a minute long, maybe, and they're the exact thing that you would expect from a company that's just trying to cash in on like new stuff they're selling. And the last commercial break in that 28-minute long thing is a commercial for Illumination theme park shit that is open now, and it shows like people in masks and stuff, and it's like, that's not
great.
Let's not do that. In contrast to that, the trailer, I guess, for Nintendo, they're doing a Nintendo theme park addition to Japan's, the one that does Harry Potter, not the Disney stuff. We're not theme park people.
Is it? I would know this. I want to say DreamWorks,
Universal.
but I know that. Okay, yeah, that's it.
They're doing an addition to Universal that is just like a big theme park of Nintendo-looking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that is pleasant to look at, and also Japan's being a little more responsible. So their opening next year of a theme park into the year might actually be responsible enough, but opening a fucking Minions garbage dump right now for people to go to in the US is maybe not the best.
Yeah, there's something a little suspicious about that.
There sure are a lot of huge companies with unlimited funds really begging for people's money right now. That's pretty gross.
Yeah, kind of not so great timing considering the everything that's happening, but no.
Well,
stock market's got to go up. There's nowhere it can go except for up.
Not
Stock's
to worry. The adults are back.
Oh, good. Wee. We're saved.
I don't think I can yell more until after this bagel, so we're gonna have to hold off on our new addition to the podcast, brought to you by Madison. But I want to hear what you thought about the Princess Switch 2.
Oh, okay.
And if you want, you can recap people on what the Princess Switch 1 was. If you, I bet you didn't rewatch it like I did, but you might remember some of it.
I remember enough of it as it relates to the second one, because I have some critiques on like some plot dumbness. Good. But before I do that, I think it's important that we do this.
Oh, right.
Gotta have
Weren't you
the
just saying
appropriate
you're
attire
way too
to
hot?
discuss Christmas movies.
Isn't this like literally
Thing
the
is, like,
hottest thing?
really difficult to put on. Okay.
Nice work.
Wow. Perfection.
Now you're able to properly, yeah. Now you're able to princess switch it. That that shirt really does not care about hairstyling at all either.
Really, it doesn't matter. I just took a shower and my hair's decided to do some like weird scene sweep anyway that I can't get rid of. So it's
Excellent.
just that's what it's gonna be.
That's okay. I have whatever the fuck this is. Well,
'Tis the season for excellent hair.
it's like Naruto. Our personalities come out in our hair.
More than I would appreciate
Uh-huh.
at the moment. Okay, so a brief recap of The Princess Switched 1, starring Netflix's Christmas darling, Vanessa Hudgens, who I didn't actually think about this until watching this again.
Hmm?
She's in almost all of Netflix's Christmas movies. Like, I don't know why they've just this actually goes to a deeper conspiracy that I have about all of this. But she's in so many. She's well, I guess is it just the Christmas or the Night Before Christmas and then these? Is that all? I feel like there's more.
I think there's one or two more, but also I don't think they were made for Netflix, maybe.
Okay.
But she's in the flagship Christmas movies a lot.
Yeah. So she's got the Princess Switched thing going on, and also The Night Before Christmas, which doesn't have a sequel yet. So,
which is the only one I want a sequel to.
Right. Yeah, same here.
I didn't want the sequel, to be clear. I did not care about the Princess Switch coming back.
So funny news about that. I've heard that there's going to be a third Princess switched again. The Parent Trap Electric Boogaloo.
Why?
It strikes back. I don't know. People are asking for this, I guess. Anyway, back to my original point. There was a lot of rum in my hot buttered rum.
Hell yeah.
So the story surrounds this woman named Stacy, who is this really good baker in Chicago, I think is where she's from. And she has a best friend who is hot. His name is Kevin. And at the beginning of the first movie, they have kind of a will they, won't they dynamic, but they won't. But
Kevin notable thirst trap of the series.
Yes. Up until sequel, which sad, but
fair, yeah.
Yeah, we could have I could have done with more shirtless Kevin to capture my interest.
Zero shirtless Kevin. Scathing indictment on the second movie.
We get sweatpant Kevin in just unkempt. Well, he was not even really that unkempt. He just kind of looked comfortable.
He was
which
underwear
is what she
model
said.
unkempt.
Yeah, it was like a casual day for a model. But so Stacy goes to yet another fake European country that sounds like a real country. I think is it Belgravia that she goes to first, or is it Montanaro?
I think
apparently there's two.
I think in 2 they're in Belgravia. I think.
Okay. So then, okay, in the first one it's Montanaro then, right?
Oh no, I might have it backwards because I remember them talking about Montanaro more in the second one.
Yeah, because what's her name? Princess Vanessa is she's like Lady Montanaro. So maybe it's Belgravia that they are in the first one, I think.
Belgravia is where the initial prince is from. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's where they are.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so she goes over there for like a world Christmas baking competition, and she does well, and she meets this princess who is just her. It's just another Vanessa Hudgens.
Yeah, it's just Hudgens with slightly shorter hair.
Yeah.
And a horrifying accent. I think
It's
it's
a really
important
good.
to remember that.
Yeah, it's a very good accent that is just like that, but for the whole time.
Hello, I'm visiting Belgravia.
um, and what is even the conflict in that movie? I think the conflict is that Princess Hudgens is supposed to marry the prince, but she doesn't want to because she doesn't really want to be queen. She doesn't really want the royal life or whatever, and she ends up falling for Kevin. And Stacy switches with her, and she ends up falling for the prince, and they get married, and so she's a princess.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the first one. It's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing that for some reason, because the main characters were like such a pain in the ass, being that they were half Vanessa Hudgens. Well, I guess not quite, because the daughter, Kevin's daughter, is a pretty primary character. I think his name is Frank, the like suspicious guy in the castle. Uh, he's not suspicious in the second one.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense because I feel like I remember seeing that character and being like, "Am I supposed to not like you? Because I don't
Yeah,
like you for some reason."
he's like the slightly shorter, sort of grumpy-looking dude who's like the driver and some other stuff. But for whatever reason, in the first one, he's very into like figuring out what's weird. And then it's I feel like in the first one, I don't think this is true, but I feel like it was slightly set up that there could be romance between him and the like personal assistant.
Yeah.
Oh, we're both getting spooky noises.
I think I have to go check on that because I think the dogs are. Oh my god. The dogs are here alone, and they have a tendency to break things when they think that they're alone.
Okay, you
I'll
should
be
go
right
check
back.
that.
Hey.
Do we have any requests? Any slide whistle requests? Hmm. This slide whistle is very old, and don't worry, I don't really spit when I'm playing. It belonged to my father and maybe somebody before that, so it's real old. Look at the end of this thing; it's all fucked up. How were they?
I think they were fine. They just the other day, Lane ate my dad's glasses, and he's on his backup pair of glasses. So it sounded like glasses falling off the table, so I had to go check.
Were they safe? Are they?
Yeah,
Does
they're
he
fine.
leave his glasses on a table even though last set of glasses got eaten?
Yep, his glasses are on the table, but um, I don't know. Lane is very weird. She likes to just pick up things and relocate them. She doesn't always destroy them, but
Okay.
she likes to just pick things up and put them somewhere else.
That's highly suspicious.
She's a very suspicious dog. Anyway, sorry for the interruption. Where were we? The possible
So Frank, I think is his name,
mhm.
and then Lady whatever, the the one who is like what would be a handmaiden essentially.
Yeah.
Who is like the only one who's in on it from the start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like I in the first one sensed a possible like they were supposed to be into each other, but
like
I guess
maybe in the future, and then in the second one they're just like working together instead of not together.
Yeah.
So maybe that's for the threequel.
Or we could get another Vanessa Hudgens.
So the only thing I can think of if they make a fucking fourth one, because or third one, sorry, the only option that would follow suit of the first two is bad. Anyway, please continue.
What I really hope happens is, so I guess there were people who caught this. I did not catch it, but apparently, and I sent you kind of the graphic of this or something, these universes intertwine. Like the Netflix Christmas universe is intertwined. So I was listening to a podcast about it, and the people were saying at some point, I don't know if it's this Princess Switched or the first one, but at some point in one of those, Christmas Prince is playing in the background.
So yeah, in the first one, when Princess, these names are bad. So Stacy is the regular Chicago Hudgens.
Yeah, I can't remember the
Princess
Margaret.
Margaret. Okay. Princess Margaret, when she's pretending to be Stacy and hanging out with Kevin, they flip on I think a Christmas Prince, maybe the second one, but they definitely no, I think it's the first one. They turn on a Christmas Prince on the TV in their hotel room in Belgravia. And I think Kevin says, "Oh, it's your favorite," like it's what they watch every year or something, which makes the second movie's thing crazy. But yes, that's the one that they watch it on TV in.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So the podcast I was listening to it's a podcast like dedicated to romantic comedies, but they were talking about how they spotted that in that film, but also in apparently at the end of Princess Switch 2 at the coronation are people, some actors from A Christmas Prince. Meaning,
so did you not catch this?
No.
Okay, so
I was not looking
at the end. Yeah, probably fine. At the end, it's like a short two shot. It's, I want to say, I can't remember which one's holding the baby, but it's post baby Princess Amber and Prince White Man, and they're standing in the like the I guess the stage right, but the left wing of the wedding stuff, and it's like there's a shot of obviously not in the same room, but like green screened in Princess Amber like looking over like, oh. But yeah, they're totally there, which is why it makes no sense, because they were watching the Netflix movie in the first one.
But that makes it better, because that means that in that universe, that was a documentary. They were watching a documentary about real life events.
Better is a subjective space.
Yeah, I don't really know that they thought through that, other than just like, here's a Easter egg for you Christmas movie weirdos who are watching all of these.
Okay, that gives me some weird ideas of what the next one could be, but I don't know if I want that or not. I mean, I do, absolutely, and I don't. Like, that's sort of the problem with these movies, is I 100% want them. Also, the night before Christmas, the superior of the, I guess, 6 movies that this encapsulates, um, is in Belgravia. So that's like the historic version of Belgravia.
Oh, shit.
Uh,
I didn't know that either. I didn't remember that.
yeah, apparently that's the kingdom that he's in, and it's briefly mentioned at a point where you wouldn't really notice it. But that's the link in is that this universe has infinite Hudgens in it. That's my understanding.
That's what I'm hoping for the Princess Switch 3
It's just like
film.
that the end of the what are those movies? The first one is the couple in the house and they like spread flour on the floor and see the demon footprints. Paranormal Activity.
Oh.
I think it's the fourth one where they like get outside of this like house that's abandoned and there's just a whole bunch of witches outside and it's like the oh no, the end. If that's just Vanessa Hudgens, that's how I want the next movie to end.
That's what we want. I mean, she already deserves an Oscar for her portrayal of 3 different people with very different personalities and distinguishing.
Oh, yeah. My favorite part of the second movie. So, second movie, I think there's not really any real spoilers to be had there, but the setup for the second movie is Kevin broke up with Margaret,
Was
and
it Kevin? I thought it was she broke up with him.
I think she did, but the setup is like, well, they broke up and it was amicable. Like that's how it's described.
Yeah.
But it's because she is now her like dad died, so she's gonna have to be queen anyway because her brother said he didn't want to be king or something. It's
Which
all
negates the entire personality setup from the first movie.
It's very
Just
convoluted.
Totally yeah.
It's also Christmas again because of course, it has to be.
Yep.
Anyway, but it also is set up as though. So the timeline is weird to me. She's supposed to be queen, but in it they explain that it was like at least 6 weeks ago, right? Like they've been broken up for a little while because he's grown a beard and is wearing sweatpants.
For some reason, when
Is
I
it like
was
6 months? It's a while.
I think when I was watching it, I read it as at least 6 months. It seemed like it had been a long time.
Which means that the king has been dead and she's just been like in limbo. Because when they get there, it's not set up. Like the place that she's staying in, the castle, is just sort of like mothballed. Like there's nothing there really.
Yeah.
Like the kitchen is set up, but it's like somebody who moves into an apartment and just leaves all the boxes by the door for like months. And then the kingdom apparently just has no leadership for the last half a year or so, which I found weird.
Which is fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Not important, although she is like so incredibly busy with her like not queenly, almost queenly duties, I guess.
I guess so.
That she doesn't even have time to decorate her own palace, which really seems like should not be her job, but
right. Yeah, it shouldn't be. Also, so she's been there for a while, and what's the excuse to get there? Is it the coronation? Is that why they're there? Because so Stacy takes Kevin there as like you gave me a ticket to change my life and now I'm gonna do it for you, but I can't remember what the ticket is. It's just like we're going to a castle.
It's like an RSVP for the coronation, basically.
Okay.
And apparently I think I remember him saying that he had already like mailed his in as saying like nah, but
Right.
she's just bringing him anyway, which I who cares? But
Yeah.
um yeah, I think well, Stacy has an MO the entire time to get them back together. That's her whole thing. She's
Yeah.
like weirdly obsessed with keeping them together, and so is this daughter too.
It's
Which
also weird because it's essentially like you're going to bang my twin.
eh,
Like I don't. It wasn't like comfortable in the first one because it was very like it felt very body snatchers to me in a weird way of like here's this person who looks indistinguishable from me and apparently just great accent and um they're going to have sex with you and I'm down for that apparently, which I would find very weird if another version of me started hanging out with some friends I know and then they were like, yeah, we've been fucking all the time. Like, huh, that's
okay,
troubling. um
interesting.
anyway,
Yeah.
so they're still committed to that though. That is still the storyline. But
Although
now
they
it's
they gave up on Stacy's personality from I guess you can't address it now because that would ruin the plot of the first movie because the whole reason Kevin was like not into Stacy, I guess, was because she was like a little bit uptight and like
right.
not spontaneous or whatever. And now at the beginning of this movie, now that she's married, she's like cool, I guess.
But she's still making lists and she's uptight uh in a different way and her marriage is maybe failing but like behind the scenes like it doesn't
Yeah.
and it apparently won't but uh is it the opening scene when she's like in bed like on a laptop and
Yeah.
the prince is walking around like you want to fuck or what and she's just like you're right we do need that from the store like it's the weirdest like uh
Oh,
a bunch
poor
of innuendos and then her just like getting excited about trying to get her friend Kevin to have sex with her twin some more. Uh,
yeah, that scene is very uncomfortable. He's basically like begging her for please a crumb of the sex, please, and she is just like, no, we're flying there. We're gonna go fix this now.
yeah,
But he says stuff like, I know what would relax you. Let's
yeah.
pop open a bottle of wine, and she just straight ignores him. Uh, it was fun. So I just watched Trixie and Katya's reaction, and Trixie was like, "If someone had me begging that hard for sex, I would just leave. I would not."
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. But yeah,
Uh,
the poor prince gets snubbed pretty hard this whole movie.
yeah, his role in this movie is basically like sort of comic relief, but also the first movie sets him up as like the like well-intentioned proper gentleman. Like he's very neutral, but he's also like he's not objectionable. Like everything that he sees fake Margaret doing, he's like happy to go along with because
Mm-hmm.
he's like, yes, I would like to help children or whatever. Like he doesn't come across as an asshole, which I think if I remember the Christmas Prince series, that Prince does come off as like a huge piece of shit the whole time.
Yeah, he does.
Because he's always like he's going for the things that are correct-ish, but it's like he's a weird latchkey kid or something. Where this prince just seems like a completely normal person with like an incredible amount of like freedom to do whatever he wants. Um, in this movie, uh, not only is he just tricked by everybody constantly, including children, but by the
Yeah.
end of the movie, he's convinced that he's being a helicopter boyfriend uh, because he's concerned about his wife, or whatever, a helicopter husband, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is very weird. Like he seems pretty fine with like not being overly like domineering at all during like every scene.
He seems to have somewhat of a lack of
Yeah,
personality, if anything. So I don't understand. Yeah, he's just automatically afraid that's. I feel like that happens to most guy love interest in a sequel where the love story is no longer the center of things. They
right.
give the guy just like some emotional perturbance with the relationship to struggle with by themselves for the entire movie. Like in Frozen 2. That's what they did to Kristoff in Frozen 2, and I'm still
Right.
upset about it.
Also, I I forget how I saw Frozen 2. I barely saw it, is the point. That movie sucks.
Yes. Yeah,
um,
I have a lot of thoughts about Frozen 2.
I didn't especially love Frozen 1 anyway, but Frozen 2 was definitely like not a movie. It actually is perfect for a Disney sequel movie, but
Mm-hmm.
most of those have gone to video. They don't go like into a theater. I think they could have gotten away with it too if it weren't for all these theater kids. Anyway, uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, no, I recognized in the prince and his role in this a lot of the habits that I have in a relationship of being like, oh, you want to go do that thing? That's fine. Where that's usually like in the list of reasons why I end up ending relationships with people is like the well, you didn't care enough when I was doing things on my own or something. It's like, all right. But his version of it is like you're being overbearing, which is so gaslighty and weird through this whole thing.
And he gains that insight from a 10-year-old girl or something who
She might be
was
13.
maybe, I don't
I don't
know,
know.
not better.
Yeah.
He gets that insight from her who is tricking him. Like
Yeah.
she's one of the people. And also I don't understand the decision to trick him because like why don't they ever tell him what's going on?
It
There's
also
no reason why he can't know.
yeah, they give a reason and it's we want to keep the people who know about this as small as possible.
Yeah.
But like at certain points of him being tricked, like they have reason to believe that his wife is maybe in danger even, and he doesn't find out about that until like a little later than he probably should have. Um,
And he's not mad about it
yeah, and
after.
he's fine with it when it's done. Also, like the setup to it was that they promised never to switch again. I guess like he also that gets mentioned, and he's like, I guess it's fine. Like it's so weird. Also, they do him really dirty with like the kid being like, well, we need to go get gifts for everybody is like distracting him.
Yeah.
And I forget what the excuse is, but they're like at the toy store, and it's just him looking at toys and being like, "Toys are cool." And then she says something like, "Well, we need to buy toys for like all these people too." And he's like, "All right, I'll do that." It's just a very weird, like,
That was when she told him that he was being a helicopter husband, and then he
right,
goes like real hard the other way and is like, "Oh, okay, I definitely don't want to do that. So now let's buy toys for all of your friends and
yeah, yeah, that's what
everyone
it
we know."
is.
Yeah,
Um,
because this 13-year-old is my marriage therapist
and
now, I guess.
also has convinced me that by wanting to check in on what my wife's doing maybe once a day while we're staying in a castle together, that's too much.
uh, how overbearing.
Yeah. Uh,
I feel like
I
I
don't.
wrote something, a specific note about. Oh, I just wrote poor horny husband. That's all.
Yeah, that's a fair note. All he wants is to get laid by his own wife, and all she wants is to get her friend who wants to get laid with her duplicate laid.
Yeah.
there's some kind of like psychosexual analysis of this movie for sure.
Ooh, I don't even don't even want to think about that.
What if
Oh,
all
we
the
haven't talked.
characters in this movie are just different parts of your own brain?
I hate that.
Oh
Don't.
no!
That and the fact that it all takes place inside of a Christmas universe just makes me want to cry.
Yeah,
Um,
this is an allegory for Christmas horniness.
yeah, actually, I'm gonna have to send you the podcast that I listened to about Princess Switch 2, the rom-com one. They they have an interesting theory in which, since all of these movies clearly exist in like the same kind of universe, I guess, their theory is that in this universe at some point a Christmas cult took over a not insignificant part of Europe.
That makes sense to me. Also, so stupid research that was unneeded anyway, but I looked up if there are Montanaro and Belgravias in the world to see if they were using anything. And Belgravia,
It's Montenegro.
well, it's not that though, it's Montanaro. Belgravia exists, but it is a upper class like Manhattan sounding district of London. Which is not at all where they are for sure. And then Montanaro also exists in Spain, but it is, I want to say that is at least its own town. It's not just a district of another like larger city, but it has nothing to do with anything. It's just like in Spain. That's my understanding of the real named places that would follow this. But they are places that would have fancy people in them, and they are places that could both have castles. And it's really weird to me that those were even close to existing for this weird thing they set up. Because you could say fancy people from like Belgravia are showing up, and it makes sense. But like, why use a real name? And I
That is
think
odd.
I think the real answer for that is a Christmas cult that was based in Europe did exist, and they're renaming things after places that fancy people live just because that's some weird thing they're doing. It does make more sense to me than just this alternative world has like vaguely similar like areas that are named this way.
Yeah, who are all like vaguely English accented, but with no discernible, I don't know, culture other than like Christmas.
Mean, Montanaro, if that's where Margaret's from, is explicitly like English.
Yeah.
And that one's not in England. So that's also strange if it's not. Maybe this is the like continuation of the English Empire, and they just get more and more into Christmas the way that like the US did. Like maybe they're actually like commercializing European Christmas to the degree that our fucking stupid polar bears chugging Coca-Cola commercials and stuff are. It would, I mean, at least that gets into like Jar Jar Binks as the architect of the Sith kind of territory, but it's still it's more interesting if that's what's happening.
Yeah, it's more fun to entertain that than just think of them as a random mishmash of European countries that really like Christmas, I guess. Like that.
I guess so.
It's not as fun. Oh, we forgot to introduce the character of Antonio, who plays such a huge role.
Antonio, he's the most archetypical character in which you can tell they picked perfectly. You can tell he's rich and a piece of shit like the instant he touches the screen.
Yeah.
They got the perfect rat face boy, and they got the perfect like rat face outfit to like make sure that you know what this character is from the start. He may as well be a Disney character. Like, he's so obvious.
Yeah, they casted him very well.
Yeah.
And I think they underutilized that. They could have really played that up. They gave him a, I wouldn't call it a subplot. There's not really a
No.
plot.
They gave him a motivation at least.
Basically, yeah. He
Go on.
he like not he confesses to Stacy that she is, quote, the queen of his heart. In the most obvious.
He confesses to Margaret.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Stacy and Margaret. I am getting them confused.
These are different people.
Again, Vanessa Hudgens deserves an Oscar because she's fooled us all, but yeah, he confesses to Margaret that he's really enjoyed working for her, I guess, and now he likes her, and she is the queen of his heart, which is the most it's like one of those lines that as he's talking, you know exactly what he's going to say, and then you watch it happen.
I think the term is vom-worthy.
Yeah.
But only because I also hate that term, and it fits perfectly in this.
It does. That is exactly how I felt watching that. But that's about it for his character, other than like he makes I don't know if we've actually said what the main conflict ends up being in number 2. But what ends up happening is that there's a third, she's not a princess, but a lady, a cousin.
In the description of the movie, I think they just call her a Eurotrash cousin. Which isn't necessarily wrong. Her Fiona, that's her character name.
Yeah.
Her signifier is that she's both blonde and says the worst things. That's basically her character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The worst pet naming, vapid. She's just more fun to watch, I would have to say, than anyone else in the movie.
That's fair.
But
my secret hope, and what I thought story-wise made the most sense, is that she and Ratface were going to be an evil, because that could actually lend into a third movie of being like, well, they're pulling capers and they know the other characters and one of them can be incognito. At least that's something. But they don't really do that either, and the conflicts they set up are the dumbest. But I do like her crew.
Her like 2 companions. The guy who is, I don't know, just flamboyant. That's like kind of his only thing, really.
He feels like if he was in any other movie, he would still be sort of the same role, but he would be like flamboyant like thief or something instead of flamboyant flunky.
Yeah. He just plays a general, like, he's the evil gay, I guess, of her.
He's also a Disney villain, 100%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does give me Disney villain vibes. The girl I don't like as much. They could have given her some more interesting lines or something.
I looked up her IMDb too, and her roles were all like more secondary character roles of like normal people. I think they just they thought she would look good in the role, but they should have gotten somebody who was more of a chav dirtbag, because that would have been a lot more fun.
That would have been.
You getting dogged over there?
Someone's opening the garage door and coming home, so the dogs are excited. Yeah, I would have liked that a lot more. Someone, I don't know, with more personality than just like purple hair and like silver outfit accents. That's kind of what they went with for her.
She also has what I would refer to as English face, which is maybe what they were looking for, but the English have some of the least interesting faces that I've ever seen, and she really encapsulates that.
She did. Okay. They did do a good job on that aspect. Yeah, I think Fiona was my favorite character. I was watching an interview that Vanessa Hudgens did for this, and she said that I think that was her favorite character to play, and she put a lot of heart into that character. So,
so I think the real thing that hits the hardest for me in this movie is how weirdly confident Hudgens seems to be in her accents, to the point where her playing her duplicate is commenting on how good her accent sounds compared to before, and she's actively doing the Margaret accent as Fiona, but supposed to be Stacy. So she's doing like a second take on an accent that another character would be doing of the first person's accent.
Yeah.
Which in theory would be impressive, but it's the same accent as every version of that accent, because she doesn't have accent range, really. It's just her doing a like almost offensive English accent and then her talking normally. Really the only thing I find to be at all like interesting or impressive is when she does the not quite getting it like American accent from British. That's the only thing that I think works at all, and it's barely. But the English accent is rough in all forms.
That's actually that's one of the things I did appreciate the most of this movie, out of Fiona's character, is that she actually just, hello, hi, I'm podcasting. Yes.
All right, I'm breaking.
Okay.
Happy to have you home.
I'm happy to be back.
Happy holidays.
Jesse says happy holidays.
Tell him I said happy holidays and I love the sweater.
Oh, yeah. Did you hear?
It is quite the sweater.
It is an excellent sweater. What I was saying about Fiona, I liked that she did not even try with her accent, because it actually felt pretty true to that shitty of a character to be like just gaslighting the shit out of everyone instead of trying at all. Like when Margaret comes back and is talking to her and is like figuring out what happened, basically, instead of trying to pretend to be Stacy at all or anything, she just commits and is like, "You're crazy, lady."
Yeah,
I liked that. That was good.
Also, that's when Margaret says that her accent is sounding so much better, which it isn't, obviously.
Yeah.
But it does kind of prove that Margaret's not very smart as a character either. Also, the fact that it would take even a moment to figure out what's going on is pretty laughable in that whole situation.
And maybe she and Stacy aren't as good of friends as they think they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, what could possibly be happening? It's not like there's a third one that we all know of.
Yeah, why? I think one person in the movie, I can't even, it's either the like headmistress, whatever her name is, or Frank makes a comment that's like, "Oh yeah, they do look kind of similar."
Right.
But no one can see it.
and she also tricks the headmistress lady and father, like momentarily, and she doesn't know that it's not Margaret, which is weird because she's supposed to have been with her since she was like born. And she knows about Fiona. So that's I don't the Fiona edition is handled like they too have only met her right now, but she's glamored everyone to believe they've known her forever or something. Maybe she'll be a witch, and she'll be the witch that sent the night before Christmas forward in time.
Ooh, I would like that.
At least that would be a story that you could have. It would also be especially weird because that would be a fourth Hudgens that she was like assisting by doing that.
I think just for Netflix, the best thing to do from here on out is just to pack as many Hudgenses into a film as possible.
Maximum Hudgens. You'd think we'd be there, but we're not, and they have the opportunity to get us there.
They do.
I want to see in 5 years from now where it's just a planet that's writhing Hudgens because it's gone too far.
I think that's what we're headed towards. And that's actually kind of my other theory about this. Okay, because I wanted to talk I wanted to talk about the set design and the budget of this movie, which is clearly a lot bigger than the first one.
Yeah.
Except for with the snowman.
Oh, right, yeah.
So there's a scene where Kevin and Margaret are making snowmen, and these are just the worst, most fake. They look like stuffed animals. Like they didn't even try to make it look like real snow, but they have a castle. So I really don't understand. And I was genuinely impressed when they did the whole decorating the castle scenes, whatever. I was genuinely impressed with how it looked after. I was like, wow, okay, that's really nice. Like,
yeah, like expensive sets for sure.
Yeah, but really inexpensive snowmen.
Also, if I could have a big enough closet, I would live in that kitchen that they have in that castle as like a permanent residence. That would be fine.
It's a very cozy kitchen. I do like the
I could paint there. They had several large tables, and I could just get fat on cake and die at like, I don't know, 50 or whatever, but it'd be worth it. And apparently in that world of 100% constant Christmas nightmare, I wouldn't want to be around for that long anyway. I'd probably find like more of me somewhere and just have to deal with that shit. I don't want to have to.
Probably. So that's my other conspiracy theory about Netflix and this whole Christmas movie empire is I think that the only way they can afford to do this is to have essentially the same sets, because from movie to movie there are a couple of different locations that look exactly the same. Like there's some festival locale that they go to in this movie that I'm pretty sure was either in the first one or a different movie.
I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was either in the second Christmas Prince movie or the first Princess Switch movie.
Yeah.
I feel like they built a little Christmas town and that's it. Because the castle has like different places that you go to, but there's nothing about it that couldn't be the Christmas Prince castle either.
Exactly. And that's what I think they've done. I think they've constructed a Christmas kingdom somewhere, and then they got Vanessa Hudgens and were like, we're gonna do 6 movies with these like 5 people.
I mean, it's probably the right idea, but it's crazy. It's like the horror franchise. I forget which. What's like the James Wan or whatever horror series, where it's always just like dimly lit, but like they spend a lot on the effects. It feels like those, but for Christmas, where it's like, yeah, it'll have jump scares and it'll be kind of scary, but like there's nothing particularly unique about any of it, and it usually takes place entirely inside a house. Um, like the Nun. Did you ever see that?
No, I don't think so.
That could have been filmed in the same town as the Christmas Prince stuff. Like it's such a weird like there's some arched hallways and stuff, and that's kind of the extent of what you see. You see a graveyard, but that we don't know where that graveyard is. That could be any graveyard.
Yeah.
My body still feels like shit, so I'm gonna crack open my emergency snacks, which are wasabi seaweed.
Yay.
So enjoy that, people at home.
Seaweed snacks are the best.
I like seaweed and I like wasabi, and I don't have hot buttered rum, so this will be the next best.
Mine is now cold buttered rum. So I'm trying to keep it from congealing.
It's still buttered rum, though.
It's true. It's getting clunky, though.
I wish they could make any of these hot.
Yeah, they don't go as far as they could.
If it were up to me, this would be like you wouldn't be able to see light through it because it would be completely packed full of wasabi dust.
Yeah, I think there's a real tragic shortage of people who are making seaweed chips. I've seen a couple of brands do it, and there's probably like actual brands doing it in like Asian food stores, but this needs to be more of a mainstream idea.
I feel like North Americans have sort of a aversion to things that don't look like French fries or something.
Yeah, probably true. I made miso soup from scratch the other day. Like
gloating.
Ooh, my miso soup from scratch. And in the process of showing my mom how it was made, she decided she doesn't like it anymore.
Okay, well, I mean,
because she didn't know they use like bonito flakes to make the dashi broth.
Okay.
So she was like, I always tasted a flavor that I couldn't recognize, I couldn't place it, but now that you've shown me that it's fish flakes, I don't like it anymore.
What's wrong with fish flakes?
I don't know. In my view, absolutely nothing, but some people not on the fish flake train.
There's hot dog stands in Seattle where you can get bonito flakes on your like Japanese adorned hot dogs.
That's fucked up, and I want it immediately.
Fucking delicious. Yeah. I can't imagine being averse to bonito flakes. They're so inoffensive. It's like being against sardines or something, but even less like greasy and like fish flavored.
To be fair, I don't think a lot of people I think people would generally not call sardines inoffensive. I think the general consent I'm on your side. I like sardines, but I do think the general population would say those are on the edge of offensive. There's a definite thing. There's a definite type that likes things like that, I guess.
I would like to have more faith in people to like good things.
I would like people to be more open-minded as well. But I think it was more like I had the big bag of bonito flakes, and they're actually super old, apparently, from my
Hell
great
yeah.
grandmother. So they're very stinky. Like, they smell really bad. And I
Uh,
think it was that. I think it was the combination of that, and then like I made the dashi broth with a kombu, like seaweed and everything. And she's not a huge seafood person in the first place.
it's so good though.
Uh, I
I
know.
guess I get it. It's just it's disappointing
I
because
know.
those foods are so good. We should all be eating seagrass. It's fucking delicious that it's actually like
We
pretty
should.
decent like for you. It's better than like eating celery and shit like that. Like it's got more junk in it. The
I
good
think,
junk.
yeah, I think seaweed has like iodine or something in it
I
that's
think
good for you.
I think it also has like vitamin C and shit. Like it's got more general like nutrients than a lot of like non-ocean greens.
And I would believe that.
Uh,
Ocean foods are underutilized, but also, well, I'm not talking about fish. Fish are overutilized.
Fish are utilized just fine. We should probably not step up our fish usage, but we should appreciate it more because I feel like some of the things we make with fish are fucking stupid. Um, I Okay, I'm gonna give a little food adventure real quick, but I think we need to talk about how offensive Fiona's accent is after that. Uh, so on the night before Thanksgiving, I made turkey legs, and that was
Mhm.
good. I'm not a turkey fan, so the fact that it was like cooked well, I'm not a not a turkey cooker.
I'm not a cookie turker.
Not a cookie turker, and uh, I was expecting it to come out bad, which is why I did it how I would do like roast that I'm worried about getting overly dry, and it worked out well. So I was happy about that. Also, I may have used like an ounce and a half of butter on each leg. Like I basically set a thin pat of butter on each leg with oil in the bottom and then seasoned that and let it just melt over the turkey and then flipped it after a while. And
Yeah.
uh it worked, but also like um maybe not the most it's unique, let's say. It's maybe not the most food forward like presentable way to make turkey, but I was the only one eating it. So the night before Thanksgiving, I had turkey and I had Thanksgiving food, and I talked to like people I've never talked to before on a video chat, and that was kind of interesting. Uh, for actual like holiday stuff, again, I don't give a shit about this holiday, but people get especially depressed around holidays when they don't get to do things. So my special thing was I ate too much of a pecan pie, uh, which is basically like that sort of wraps up the American holiday part of it. And then I ate another turkey leg like early in the day, but I didn't want to do that again. So instead, um, I got soup dumplings because
Oh.
I found a place that makes East China version of soup dumplings, and I've only ever had like I guess West China version of soup dumplings, or rather like Southwest, like near Hong Kong.
Hmm.
Um, and these were like the version that the East Coast does, I guess. And they were extremely good. I did maybe bite into one and shoot soup across my laptop and into my pen caddy. So that was a thing that I had to clean up sort of mid dumplinging. But uh, the texture was um, like uh, like a slightly more fine grain muffin on the outside in terms of like it was a little spongy. It was a little more like what you would expect, and the inside was like by the time you got through the dough, it was already like not hard cooked, feeling, and on the inside with the soup and the actual like meat and stuff was like creamy, like it was extremely good. And I'll send you a picture of that, but I was very happy with that. It was also 5 dumplings, but each one was like big. And so that was my actual like holiday dinner thing.
It's a pretty good holiday dinner.
Yeah, I was
I'm
pretty
jealous
into
of
that. I also was on a very well, for length, it would be a podcast and a half of length call with friends, just kind of like not doing much, like just being on a call, and then I showed them some bad videos. So that was holiday stuff. That's about as much holiday as I want to deal with, honestly.
Yeah.
More holiday than I want to deal with is Fiona's accent, and
It's
her
very good.
Her lingo of she like shows up and the first things she says are like, what does she call Margaret?
Maggie Moo.
Yeah,
And Cuzzy.
She starts using Maggie Moo and Cuzzy, but she's doing it in the worst like accent possible.
It's bad, yeah.
They also make references to like how nice her ass is several times, which I don't. First off, same person as the other two. I feel like they're just trying to trick the audience, but also, like, why?
Because she's the hot cousin, that's why.
She has like very badly bleached hair, and she's doing like a Paris Hilton impression mixed with like a Euro like accent, kind of. I think she says something that's hot, like altogether at one point or something. Like it's very derivative of like that type of thing.
She has a very confusing vocabulary. Like
Yeah.
I really hope that she is a significant part of whatever third movie they do, because I want to know more about her. She says she calls something spoopy at one point, which is just like, who is writing spoopy into scripts right now? Like, I just don't even know.
Well, and a joke is explaining. Vanessa Hudgens says spoopy, another Vanessa Hudgens is confused, and a third Vanessa Hudgens explains that it means spooky to the second.
It's a Hudgenception of bad joke, but I want more of it. Like, why is she saying that? I don't know. She seems like she's lived a very interesting life. She clearly has some like she's her cousin, so she has some wealth or royal ties or something, but I guess her thing is that she's spent it all.
I guess so.
I guess, or it's not there anymore, and
she was
so
maybe like disowned or something. It's
yeah,
unclear.
I could see that, but but her new plan is to like embezzle. This also is a very not well thought out plan. Her whole plan is to kidnap Margaret, pretend to be Margaret, get coronated, coronated, queened. She's gonna get queened.
Yep.
And then like embezzle money essentially, and then run away to the Cayman Islands, where she, I guess, will have enough money for the rest of her life, and I guess she'll just live in the Cayman Islands because they don't extradite people.
Like, in a weird way, her plan is to steal enough money to get by comfortably and not work and hang out on an island, presumably not doing much and not leaving that island. So, like, in a weird way, her plan is to live pretty modestly by stealing some money, but not a ton, from somebody who's becoming queen. Also, her plan is to not hurt anybody and to just like hang out. I kind of feel like her plan was fine. Like, The only thing that made it shitty is that she like broke up with Kevin for some reason in the midst of all of that stuff. Which
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
make any
just
sense.
that's just the Fiona flair, I
Yeah.
think. Like uh, I do love that character really. I mean, aside from the overarching plan of like steal money, go to island, there is clearly really no plan in
Right.
like the kidnapping because she tries to just gaslight Margaret into thinking that she's Stacy, I guess, and then breaks up with Kevin for no reason whatsoever. She just kind of is vengeful, or not even vengeful. She just doesn't care. She's very apathetic.
Yeah, she doesn't want Kevin to be getting in the way of her doing the shit she needs to do. But like
Yeah.
she could have just sort of not done anything and said she was busy. It's just that she's like problematic all the way through for some reason. Like she even gets blackmailed by Ratface.
Antonio. Oh yeah.
And that whole section comes to nothing as well. Like it doesn't mean anything in the story really.
Yeah.
It just means they can get rid of Antonio. But Antonio, I think, should have been. Also, she escapes because people are distracted.
But Antonio goes to the dungeon. Antonio gets the dungeon. But Fiona, yeah, she gets away, I guess.
She just like walks out. Like
yeah.
they say that
No
she's gonna have to deal with her, like deal with the repercussions of this and leave her with like I forget, like the people who are at the church or whatever. And they like turn around for a second and it just shows her looking around, like slowly walk out. It's nothing. Like it's not an event. It's just to show that she's not in jail, I guess.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping for a little more exciting of a rescue scene as well. Because they were so when they kidnap her, they do kind of like this. What is it? Margaret's throwing a ball, or fake Margaret is throwing a ball or a reception for the concert, I think. Hard to keep up with these Christmas events.
Oh yes, she's attending a benefit concert.
Okay, yeah, and it's the reception after that, and that's when they kidnap Stacy.
She goes to the bathroom to wash off
a drink that they spilled on her. Yeah, one of the minions spilled on her. And I don't know why, but the chloroform rag like was way out of left field for me.
Yeah,
like,
I was not expecting them to chloroform her.
I was like, oh wow, shit, okay. I wasn't expecting it. And then there's no real interesting rescue scene at all. Like she's not even really ever in trouble because they just lock her in a basement, which is fine. But I thought they could have at least given the prince guy some sort of like cool, I don't know, care about it more.
I guess he technically he punches a guy
after she runs away in her like galoshes.
Also, weird driver Frank from the first movie. When they're coming up to the also we should mention they keep fake Margaret Stacy in a dungeon in Fiona's defunct castle. So like she has a castle she could sell, I guess.
That's not enough to get her to the Caymans.
I guess. And when they're coming up to the castle to rescue her, which she's already like leaving, they're just transportation at that point. She's being chased by the two flunkies. But when they're coming up to the castle, driver Frank's like, these hands are weapons. And then they just kind of laugh him off. And then the prince stops the guy who's chasing Stacy and punches him once, and he falls over. Which, fine. I don't know. It's also not a tense scene in any case. It's like they're play fighting, and then the one guy like slips and falls, is what it looks like practically. But the guy starts waking up and looking around like, oh, what happened? And Frank karate chops him like on the shoulder and passes out. So
I actually did enjoy that.
so it's this weird, like, I guess maybe Driver Frank is like a competent karate chopist. Maybe, I don't know. Unclear. It was clearly like supposed to be a comedy bit, but it was implying weird shit. Like, if these were worse to the point of being like, oh, yeah, I should explain what I did on Thanksgiving, because it's actually a nightmare during the day. Anyway, so if these were worse, like, say, a Happy Madison picture, you could see that being like, oh, that's a stupid joke that they put in. Like in Hubie Halloween, Tim Meadows' character having dick-shaped hair. Sure, it's nothing. It's amusing, and that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe your parents will laugh at it. In this, it comes off really strangely because it is ultimately a romance-forward romantic comedy with like some comedy elements, but it's more than a comedy. I would say that these movies and the Christmas Prince movies and the maybe that's why we like A Night Before Christmas the best, because it actually is the closest to being a comedy. But because it's so outlandish.
Right.
And also, like, they take every chance they can to Kevin that character. Like, he's just standing around with no shirt on whenever he's, like, in the house. But the way that jokes come off in these movies feels very, like, forced, I think, compared to other movies like this.
Yeah.
Especially when Spoopy is the joke
punchline. Oh, yeah. That was good. They needed to use Fiona more. They could have gone bigger.
Yeah.
With Fiona.
Fiona could have been harder to watch, and it would have probably been a benefit to the movie. Because they do plenty of stuff that's like, I don't want to see this person talk, but they didn't go hard enough to make it like, this is torturous, which I think they kind of should have.
Yeah, I mean, it's already like almost there. You just gotta make it just a little worse.
Just a little worse.
Just a little bit worse. To make it seem really on purpose, then that would be good. Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about the last minute airport wedding?
I mean, no, but yes. So despite what we're talking about, there is a constant subplot of Kevin and Margaret reconnecting, in which they do things like throw flour all over each other for seemingly no reason.
Is there not only? I think there's only like 3 or 4 scenes with them together total, and that's like enough for them to rekindle. Okay, cool. Okay.
There's the scene rundown is tour around the castle, in which Margaret is mostly paying attention to the kid.
Yeah.
After a montage of getting the castle together, I think Kevin is gonna go make eggnog. Is that what he's gonna go make? It's something dumb.
Hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate. Okay. He's gonna go make hot chocolate, and I think that's a callback to the first movie. Mm-hmm. But like, I don't remember exactly, even though I watched them back to back. And so he's going to make hot chocolate, and Stacy's like, Margaret needs to help you. Everybody else is helping me, or something stupid. And they go, and instead of making hot chocolate, they throw flour all over each other and talk about spontaneity. And they get interrupted by, is it Ratface or is it somebody else?
It's Ratface.
And then the next scene is them not the next scene, but the next scene with them is like I think reconciling a little bit at the party where Fiona shows up.
Yeah, I think they dance for like 30 seconds.
Yeah. And you're almost made to like feel bad for Ratface briefly, maybe. But like I didn't because I'm not a psychopath, but I think that's sort of how it was set up. And then they're gonna go do stuff together, and Ratface intervenes and instead confesses his Queen of My Heart, like
garbage.
Yeah. And then the next thing they do is go to the like abandoned theme park and make terrible snow people. And that's pretty much when they do the snow people thing, that's pretty much the conclusion. Until there's like slight bits of like hiccups in it of their story. Like they're basically like, oh yeah, we'll get back together. And that's like maybe like, I don't know, 40 minutes in or something. And then the only reason why that gets messed up is that other characters do weird shit. But like the spot between they decide they're gonna get together and Kevin being at the airport being driven by like the elf man. They call him the elf man in the credits. He's the guy in the first movie that's there like 10 times, like directing fate or whatever. And in this one,
I knew I was supposed to remember him.
Yeah, and this one he only shows up once, and it's to like make the drive to the airport to leave longer so that he can't actually leave in time. So for like the second half of the movie, Kevin is in a car. Yeah, and like sad again. And that's it. That's his arc. But the conclusion of that is gross, where so it's post all the Fiona stuff even. They get to the airport and they're like, hey, you're still here, that was Fiona. And they literally turn to the side and there's a priest getting coffee at a coffee stand before he gets on a plane. And they're like, can you marry us? And like, it's sort of shitty of them because he's literally getting called to his like his flight then. They also do a bunch of things that are like cute that I think are pretty stupid, in which there's calls in the airport and that interrupts a couple times for their getting married, which who cares? I watched a couple other movies and there was a version of this in another movie this week that was like at least true to life stuff, but it gave that context of like, oh right, this airport thing sucks. Like, and I'm not even that big a like proponent of traditional wedding. Like, they had a ring and everything. They could have just been like, we're married now. But for some reason, there was like import put on it being with a priest, which is weird. It's not.
It was weird. Like in a rush getting on. They made him wait until the final like boarding call.
Yeah.
And all I can think watching that is just how anxious I am for that poor priest.
Yeah, if I were being distracted by somebody and it got to like final call on a terminal that I was maybe not even next to, I would be like sweating bullets or something. Like I would be not like doing well. Or I would have resigned to just go change my ticket to a later flight or something. But also, why was he flying in his full priest gear? That was weird to me.
Just priest things, I guess.
In my headcanon, he's like a serial killer disguised as a priest. And he dresses that way to lure people in or something.
Maybe. I mean, that works out for the like abridged ceremony that they wanted. He didn't really need to know anything.
What if that was the King Father's killer leaving the country?
Oh,
See, that might actually be
interesting.
a movie plot, though.
Is it also the king? Is that Margaret's dad then?
Yeah.
Just never addressed. She's not sad. She's fine. Okay, cool.
I think there might be a
Makes
throwaway
sense.
line where she's like, it was hard at first or something, but I don't even know that it's that impactful of like a single line.
I didn't even remember that it was her dad. I don't know.
They
This
also
like family tree is very odd to me.
they also barely touch on the fact that apparently her older brother was just like, I ain't doing that. Like, you don't meet the
Yeah,
older brother, you don't know anything about the older brother. It's all just like an
he
excuse for why maybe she didn't expect this.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense because the older brother abdicated and that's why she has to do it, but like why can't you also abdicate if you've already said previously that you don't want this? But I
Right.
guess she changes her mind and is like, I love Montanaro or Belgravia or wherever the fuck I'm from so
Yeah.
much. Um, Very odd. And then they do kind of sow in some seeds with Kevin's character between him and Antonio. Like Antonio has a conversation with him where he's like, "You're not fit to be a queen's
Right.
partner," and then it's kind of dropped from there. Like Kevin doesn't really. It doesn't seem like Kevin has any real insecurity about that. It's just like he she is concerned about
I
not
guess
having
so.
time for him. I don't know. Their whole like reason for breaking up sounds like really dumb. But
Antonio
whatever.
does do a lot of like implied finger tenting in that movie.
Yeah, his rat face is his finger tent,
Yeah.
basically. But
Also, when he talks to Fiona, they imply that he's, I don't know. It seems like he's just the other side of serial killer also, in which he's like, I knew the instant I saw you, you weren't her kind of stuff, where it's like, well, apparently the person that's in love with her couldn't tell. So that's a little weird. Uh, I don't know. He seems very observant, let's say.
I love that at the end, at the first like moved up coronation, where he gets caught and tries to like he tries to further the lie and be like, real Margaret, you go to prison, throw her in jail.
Yeah.
And then it comes out like 2 seconds later that it's the other way around. And then he's like, I knew all along. Like, she's like, you just tried to throw me in jail. I don't even understand the purpose of those like 3 lines that they gave him, but
Yeah, like in the storyline, he had to do that because he would have gotten away with it otherwise. And it's a weird,
yeah,
like, he could have just said, like, what? I didn't know.
yeah, he
And he would
fully
have
could
been
have.
off the hook.
Yeah, and if she never said anything about Kevin,
Yeah.
and Kevin just left, I mean, he could have just like married into it and been fine.
Yeah. Uh,
Mm.
I don't know. Like, all the bad guys do their own, like, undoings in these movies to a degree that's pretty ridiculous,
Yeah,
including Frank in the first movie, because there really was no conflict in the first movie except for the suspicious driver and uh
oh yeah,
like that basically means nothing in that movie. Like there are no stakes except are we going to get to be with like our weird boyfriends, which to be fair, the Vanessa Hudgens characters are incredibly strange, so I guess that makes sense for the universe. But
yeah. I really don't understand why you as queen couldn't just be like, I'm taking the day off to hang out with this guy because I'm queen
yeah, I don't know.
or I'm almost queen.
Yep.
Who's gonna put you in the dungeon? Nobody.
I mean,
Antonio, maybe.
the first movie literally has that, where she takes the day off from like being at like whatever duties she has at the time, and is
Yeah.
just like, well, since I'm already here on assignment to like watch this Bake Off, hey Kevin, you want to like go hang out? Like that's the way that movie practically ends. So clearly she has the ability to kind of do what she wants already, but because she's not queen, she's not coronated until the end of the second movie.
Christmas. Not until
Yeah,
Christmas.
until
Which
Christmas.
also doesn't really make sense that the royalty from Aldovia, the other fake European nation, doesn't make sense that they're there on Christmas because your whole kingdom is based around Christmas also. Why would you be there for a coronation? Silly.
I'm curious. So they have all those officials show up in like one of the. It might be the third Christmas Prince movie. Remember they have like a vaguely Asian like queen show up, and they have like some other.
Oh, yeah. I forgot.
Do they have any Belgravia or Montanaro people there? Maybe we did see the dad for.
Maybe.
Huh.
Interesting. I'll have to. I would be interested to watch that back and see if anyone is actually there. If we can spot a Hudgens in the back.
Yeah, I don't think there would be a Hudgens, but maybe there is. There's an awful lot of like we're watching the movie of another movie on Netflix and Netflix stuff. There was something I can't remember what it was now. There was like a regular show on Netflix that did that same thing not that long ago. It pulls me out of it every time, but it's very like especially noticeable in this like universe where they exist in real life and on TV. I want to say it might have been one of the Haunting series where they like have a show on at some point that's just a Netflix show. But now I can't remember.
I don't know. I haven't seen any of the Haunting shows.
What, are you some kind of pansy?
A little bit. I watched Midsummer by myself the other day, and that was unsettling.
That's more like uncomfortable gore bits than it is necessarily.
Yeah,
scary.
it wasn't really scary. That one was actually comparatively mild to probably to most horror movie things. But
Hereditary, have you seen that?
I actually tried watching it the other day, but I fell asleep.
Yeah. That one is like another one of those where it's not really very scary ever, but it is a lot psychologically to like take in at certain points. But it's mostly like Toni Collette like pretending to be a bereaved mother that's tough to deal with in that movie. So that stuff is a little bit rough, but like Midsommar, you also are like not really in a bad mood at the end. You're just kind of like, all right. Like that's how I felt about it, at least. It was very like you feel bad for some side characters, like that's sort of like what happens in Hereditary also. But the main conclusion is just kind of like, all right, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that was kind of my feeling at the end of it too. It was just like, okay, that sounds like how a story about a cult would end. That makes sense. Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting discussion that people are having about Midsummer. I'm, as usual, incredibly late to the party, but it is a very interesting movie.
Yeah. I would say the Haunting show, I haven't finished the second season, but the first season, which is its own separate story from the second, it's sort of a Netflix's American Horror Story-ish thing, I guess. But it is much more like people's traumas and hauntings kind of mashed together into a storyline. The second season has people I really like in it, and the first season has people that I ended up really liking. But it is definitely like it's got a mystery to every episode, and it kind of solves it at the end to some degree. And I like that about it quite a bit. There's a lot of, I don't like, one of the episodes has like it maybe one of the rougher episodes, but it's still interesting. Has like characters dealing with drug addiction, and they end up having like a haunting that is based on drug addiction, but like all the characters in the show are in the same family, so you're kind of getting reasons behind each motivation from that stuff. So that's the most interesting part, and they did some real interesting ghost sort of like ideas in that I appreciated.
Isn't I can never remember his name, but the guy who plays, I want to say Ravi in iZombie. Is it Ravi?
Raul Coley.
Yeah, I can't remember his name in the show.
I think Ravi. I haven't seen iZombie in years, but yeah, he's actually the reason why I was excited for the second season.
Oh, okay.
And his character is really good so far. He's very like he's like the cook at this place. The set off event is something happened to our old nanny. We need a new one at this house with like 2 kids that need looking after, even though the parents aren't there for sort of unknown reasons. And there's like a lady who I guess is like the house, like, I forget what it would be called. The person who like makes sure the land is doing all right. It's not a groundskeeper, I don't think, but she's like the sort of executive of house. And then there's like the cook and driver, and that's Coley. And he has a big stupid mustache, and I appreciate it.
Nice. I like that.
He's one of the few people in like the lower tier celebrity world that I find to be pleasing just in general. Basically all he talks about is nerd shit and like calling out people who are being assholes, and that's about all he does. And he does a lot of like videos with like video game people on like the internet, in which he is pretty much a weird version of the same person he is in like all of the stuff that he plays.
Yeah.
I think
kind
he's
of
on
like actors like that.
He's on some sort of campaign to get into Star Wars in some way or another. 'Cause, his Instagram is a lot of videos of him just painting like stormtrooper miniatures and stuff, and answering like AMAs while he does it. That's like
cute.
the bulk of what he does when he's not working, I guess. Anyway, yeah, I would watch that, but it definitely, there's like a jump scare per episode, and usually it is kind of rough.
Okay.
But the second season isn't bad, from what I've seen. I'm not like a loud noises person, so I'm perfectly fine with jump scares, but I have like an overly sensitive hearing in my left ear. So I will sometimes put like an earplug in one side so that it doesn't like hit me as hard. But I think for normal people, it's without the this might hurt my ear situation. There's no real like. There's like one really effective jump scare, and it's the most famous one. So like you'll probably know it's coming anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely give that a try. I've been looking for a new scary show. I've been trying to watch more scary stuff. I'm trying to like suss out my limit around what can I watch by myself and like be able to sleep after.
Okay. Are you
So
a what's in the house kind of person after you watch something, or
not so far. Not
okay?
not yet. It hasn't been a problem. I used to be very much like scared like that when I was younger, so I'm kind of um tentative about some things, but for the most part, I don't think I've watched anything that's bothered me really.
I've always been I like horror movies, but I didn't like gore. So like
Mm.
when I was younger, I was always on like a crusade to find horror movies that weren't gonna also be like, and then this person gets their like whole face ripped off in slow motion or something. Um, Now that gore doesn't bother me so much unless it's like something people are trying to act out in a real fashion. Uh, I'm not a huge fan of some of the more stupid Saw things, but it's because like
Right.
the gore stuff where somebody like just has everything fall out of them or something, like they're in a Mortal Kombat or something. Those I just think are really hard to watch because I envision things a little too much. So like I get really wrapped up in the visuals of something and
Mhm.
and the squelching noises of something. But uh, when it comes to like scary ideas, I tend to like that more than I am affected by it. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm excited for this movie that I've been seeing ads for called oh um damn it. Well, I can't remember what it's called.
Happiest
It's
season.
no, I enjoyed Happiest Season though. It's have you watched that by the way?
Not yet, no.
Um, so maybe it's not Play With Me, I don't think, but it's something along those lines. Maybe it's like Play Along or I think it's two words. And it's a creature that's only visible through a phone app that's haunted that's on a kid's phone, and I really enjoy how stupid that is, but
Yeah.
also the creature looks pretty good for being like a dumb horror movie creature.
Mm.
And the I don't remember who the kid is, but the mom character is played by the boring blonde lady from Community, and I think that's a good choice for
Oh, really?
uh,
Okay.
like mom character.
Cool.
uh, So I'm excited to watch that. I'll send you suggestions though if you're trying to look into horror movies.
Yeah, yeah, I
I
would
know
take.
some dumb ones.
Okay, good. Yeah, I would take a variety of suggestions. Gore doesn't really bother me, because usually in horror movies it's kind of like so overdone that it's not
Right.
even doesn't bother me at all. The only stuff that I think does kind of get me for a little bit is like in Midsummer when
Mhm.
they're like jumping off of cliffs just because really didn't expect it, I think, but also
Yeah.
it's pretty realistic, so that was
There's a
kind
lot of
of
heads being disappeared in various ways in Hereditary later on that are
oh,
like
okay.
only surprising. I found them to be fairly entertaining more than anything, but there's
Yeah.
definitely some of that.
Yeah, for I think for me it's all like it's all about the tone surrounding the gore. If I know that it's coming, I
Yeah.
don't care. It really doesn't bother me. And especially if it's like chainsaws or something dumb like that, but um yeah, I think Midsummer just caught me off guard, I think, but uh, I think
Yeah,
I would be fine with Hereditary probably.
it's important to sort of identify your tastes through something like a Texas Chainsaw or something like that, where
Mhm.
uh, like that movie is not a big deal at all in terms of like the amount of fear and the amount of like gore and all that stuff. But if you leave Texas Chainsaw uh, like feeling uplifted, then there's a lot of horror movies that are open to you. And if you leave it feeling like skeezed out, then you have to be more careful about it. But that movie is almost the perfect barometer of like, was this a feel-good movie or not? And if it is, then like horror movies have lots to offer you if that's the case.
Okay. Makes
And
sense.
that movie is pretty excellent. It is one of the funniest horror movies. Both in that it's like early, so a lot of the tropes aren't like standard yet, and in that the things that happen are obviously being set up by a director who's like, yeah, that'll be dope.
I like that. I don't think I've ever actually sat down and watched that, so that'll
You
have to
should.
be one of the first ones I do, yeah.
The second one, I've still never seen its entirety, and I've heard that one's really good too. But I always felt like the first one was pretty complete, so like I guess I was just low in like need to see the second one, and I just sort of passed it by.
Mm.
The other barometer for me personally was watching renting and then watching the American version of The Ring while living on a horse ranch in the middle of the night while my parents were gone for like a week and I was in like junior high.
Yeah.
Wait, no, I had to be older than that. I was old enough to be like, I shouldn't be scared by this, but I was young enough to be like, I don't want to have to go turn the light out in the barn and walk all the way back after this movie about like all these horses on an evil ranch dying from like a ghost.
That's an incredibly rough one to watch when you're on a horse
Yeah.
ranch
No,
by yourself.
it was straight up. We didn't have a well, but everything else was basically the same. Like, and that version of The Ring takes place in Washington, I think. Like they take like a ferry
Yeah,
over
you're
to like,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was very like close to home. I'm out in like the woods. Yeah, yeah. This was I can't remember what grade, but it was like the perfect age to be like well, watching this at 1 a.m. while my parents are away on literally. So I was given this TV by my aunt and uncle that was like like super thick, like old ass TV, but it had hookups that at the time it was the 3-prong um like you could hook it up to like old video games or you could hook it up to like a DVD player.
Mm-hmm.
So I had it hooked up to like my family's older player and I was watching this in my room and I think it was the first summer that I ever had like TV accessibility in my own space like that. So it was weird. It was a huge, like, rickety wooden paneled TV with a big screen, considering, but like not as big as like modern TV screens of similar TVs. It weighed like I could carry it around, but it had to be like 80 pounds. Like I had to get my arms all the way around it and I could kind of move it. Um, but that being in a house that was like completely empty except for a cat probably and then having to take care of horses
Yeah,
yeah,
that'll do it.
very effective at being creepy, and I don't think I've ever been scared by anything that much after that because that was sort of the test of like, can I make it through this and be like fine with horror movies still, and it worked out pretty well.
You lived.
Yeah.
That's good.
This time.
Yeah.
Next time I watch The Ring on a ranch in the middle of the night, it won't be so good, but
I'm glad I never watched that when I was younger because I did used to actually live on a horse ranch also.
oh,
And we had a well, so
oh wow, you would have gotten the full experience.
I really would have, and I don't think I would have made it. uh, okay.
Like part of the Ring video in that is like horses looking at you.
Yeah.
And then like what's his name jumping into a bathtub and like electrocuting himself or something.
Yeah, that part was pretty unsettling. I think to me to this day the most unsettling part of that movie is the horse jumping in to the propeller on
Oh
the
yeah,
boat.
I
Or
forgot all about
I
that.
guess he just gets run over by the boat. That's still like, oh, I don't like that.
Horses aren't all that erratic, so whenever they do weird shit like that in a piece of media, it's surprising.
Yeah, I don't like animals getting possessed to do things. That
Yeah,
freaks me out. You can
it's not
possess
not
people
ideal.
all you want.
Yeah, people are gross. They can kind of do whatever. Um,
Yeah.
Speaking of gross, uh, I got um, I got the original Dark Souls remaster on my Switch now because holidays are making things cheap in some spots. Um,
Nice.
so that's exciting. It's the least Switch-like game I've ever played, and I strongly suggest people get it for the full demonification of the Dark Souls series. That's
There
definitely
you go.
one of that style of game that is the most like ass punishing for no reason at some points. Uh, but that's just a side note because I feel like, well, actually, unless you want to talk about happiest season, any sort of like interest you have in that.
I definitely have interest in it. It's a Kristen Stewart movie, right? Is
Yeah,
Aubrey Plaza in it too?
Aubrey Plaza's in it. It's
Okay.
directed and written and produced by Clea Duvall, who is the love interest in But I'm a Cheerleader, which is one of my favorite queer
Oh,
movies of all time. And I think Clea Duvall's in the like wrap up photo with people at the very end in the credits, which is fun.
that
Um,
is nice.
but that movie was both probably my favorite actual holiday movie of this year, and I may have actually, on the very rare occasion, had like a tear slip out during it. So, and it was funny. Like I legit thought it was really good. So I would suggest it to everybody. If
Okay,
you watch
yeah.
it, we should talk about it because I thought that was an effective uh, comedy. Speaking of like good versions of what the Princess Switch is trying to do, that was a good romantic comedy holiday movie for sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
It looks really good. I'm looking forward to it.
yes, you should definitely watch that. I also watched a movie called like A Good Girl or some stupid thing like that. That was like a romantic comedy that I was like, I'll do that. And it was bad, but I did enjoy that the storyline was um, girlfriend is like very proper and very like generally normal, like artsy person, plays violin, trying to get into like philharmonic or something, like very side story. But her like dork boyfriend breaks up with her because she gets mad at him about like ever having looked at porn, basically. And then after they break up, she's really bummed out and finds out that everyone she knows looks at porn, including the people in her like quartet. And she's
Hmm.
like, ah, shit. So she goes and like writes a list out of like, well, I'm gonna go do all these things that people say are like adult things to do, even though I don't think it's a good idea. I want to grow, I guess. So it is just like a skit movie about like what does somebody who's never been to a sex store think of it? And she goes to like a brothel and she goes to like some other like a sex expo and stuff like that, and it's amusing, but it's also trash. Like it's not a good movie, but I like the people in it enough to where, I wouldn't avoid it, but it's definitely it's also like in their holiday section, and it's not a holiday movie at all. Uh,
Hmm.
so that's on Hulu along with Happiest Season. I
Okay.
watched it the same day I watched Happiest Season because it was like, that movie was really good, but maybe I need something else to like not just be pleased about this movie. And then it was like, well, I'm still just pleased about that first movie. This movie is pretty stupid. I have one more movie to talk about, but first I think it might be time to get into our new segment,
Oh,
the Malarkey Minute.
the
Here comes your Malarkey Minute, Jack.
Okay.
Do you have anything to say about Joe Biden, Buster Brown?
I've unfortunately been not keeping up with actual news, but
Unfortunate.
Yeah, super unfortunate, but I have been seeing a lot of headlines about Joe Biden's cat or his dog, or mostly his cat, and I just wish people would knock that shit off.
I haven't seen shit about his cat. What's with his cat? Who cares about his cat?
People want to talk about his cat. People are excited that there's a cat in the White House. It's stupid. It's dumb.
Not since Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton had
Yay.
socks, I think. People made a big deal about socks for like 20 years, because I remember socks being like, do you remember when socks was in the office? It's like, I guess. It fits, actually. There's a lot of stupid distraction garbage going on. The thing I've seen about Joe Biden and his pets is that he fucking like broke his foot a day or two ago playing with his very large German Shepherd, which is an extremely appropriate style of dog for him to have for all of the things that he likes. But yeah, that's been the pet news that I've seen. So would you like to hear about some of the Malarkey Minute stuff? Let me grab my new phone. My new
Malarkey Minute.
Pay attention, Buster Brown. Let's see. My weather thing popped up and said, "Close your windows soon. It fucked out there." So I will do that as soon as we're done. I have a standing reservation, which will probably be next week or after. It's basically for whenever we have time, because it's not going anywhere. I was just reminded of that when it comes to fun politics. But let's go over some of this week in Joe Biden. Yep. That's the holiday cheer I'm talking about. Are you feeling cooler? Are you sweating less than that?
Yep. Way less.
Great. So the first thing I found when I was trying to process this week in Joe Biden is so he's getting a lot of attention for putting forward a all-female communications team for him and the First Lady. It is, in fact, all-female. That's good. I don't think it's bad that he's doing that. It's a nice thing to put forward. In essence, I think that he especially needs maybe some positive female interactions under his belt for him to have any respect from anybody. But I'm not going to list off who these people are. I honestly don't really care. But I did look into them. The consistent thing between all of them, there's 5 or 6 of these people. They're communications heads, so it's assistant to and head of communications for him and the First Lady, and then I think there's maybe only 5, and the 5th one is for the office. So it's literally just their PR people, essentially. They're all people who are people who bounce between corporate and governmental positions, which is already like not my favorite.
Yeah.
But one of them in particular is the person who is in charge of communications for the vice president, Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
And she is the person who has been in charge of communications for Nancy Pelosi for the last like decade. So, along with Nancy Pelosi not stepping down and letting new leadership push any progressive anything
Yeah.
in the government, they're also sticking what are essentially like old school Democrat stooges in every single position, and having the person who everybody expects, especially with old broken foot Joe entering the office at like 78 or whatever the fuck. I think he's 78.
Yeah.
Everybody being like, well, he might live through it. Having the person who could be the next president by default, having Nancy Pelosi's like communications chief be there really sucks, because that's like the worst version of communication. Like Nancy Pelosi, her trademark is being like performatively concerned, kind of. That's it. That's all you get from her. Yeah, it's her popping out in like kente cloth once in a while and being like, hey, I tore it in half. Did you see? I'm progressive now because I got rid of paper. And also, I'm in kente cloth, which clearly I don't understand what the fuck this is about, but it does look ethnic, doesn't it? How exotic. So
Jesus.
that shit sucks. I don't think you should be able to wear regional like meaningful regional garb and act like that clears you of all of the fucking terrible things you're doing in their continent. That seems pretty crass at best.
Yeah.
Honestly, the other people who are in those communications teams are not good either. The best person on there was like an assistant to Harris. No, it was an assistant to Biden. And I think they were also an assistant to like maybe Hillary Clinton. I think it was Hillary Clinton. She worked with them. And there's another person who like worked on the Sanders campaign in 2016 and then quit the campaign and moved to doing like corporate work. Like it's literally no one who's useful, but they can say there's a Sanders staffer of like 4 or 5 years ago on here, which is like the least of it. So there's that. That's his all-female communications team, is a bunch of people who are not interesting in the least. The real news is right. So weirdly, in the stuff I found, they go over the 4 or 5 people who are notable, but then they very quickly touch on, like, they footnote in this woman named Ashley Etienne, who is a political advisor, communications professional. She was also a former special assistant to Barack Obama. Oh yeah, so this is the person they keep putting down at the bottom of the list. She's the former communications director of Nancy Pelosi. So she's the person who's doing the Harris like directing stuff. She's being put in as a footnote for some reason. And her like information is pretty mundane until you look and find that where is it? Okay, well, first off, she oversaw Democratic messaging for the impeachment of Donald Trump. So, that really speaks highly of how that went.
Nice.
she, I believe, is the one who works for a place called, or has worked for a place called the Dewey Square Group. This is either her or one of the other like main people, and that is a company that is um, under the umbrella of this thing called WPP PLC, which is a British communications and public relations place. And their big stuff that they do is things like essentially just a lot of illegal taxation hiding and stuff like that.
Cool.
So we have people who have worked under companies that are just straight up like tax shelters for rich people kinds of companies. I think that's worth noting, but it's not surprising in the least. People are making a lot of stink about how James Carville is like kind of pro. James Carville is somebody that people should have stopped listening to like before we were born. He's an old shitty dude. I'll show you a picture of him. If you don't know who he is by name, you'll probably know who he is by image.
Okay, yeah, looks familiar.
He's old, talks like the coach from Rocky, and people, for whatever reason, have listened to him forever. And he's an American political consultant who I think is Democrat-leaning by most people's standards. And since this week, he's had a bunch of quotes saying that woke people need to take a nap and like stop complaining about all of the good things that are coming from this like presidential thing that we're doing. So he's like anti-Trump, but he's also just straight up like we just need to be happy that it's not Trump and shut up. And he's specifically calling out woke people, which I feel like is just a weird pejorative of millennials and Zoomers. Like, we just need you to stop talking because this is back to normal. I've hated his opinions for a long time, but he's never had good opinions, so that's probably why. So in more relevant news than just the people you'd expect doing the things you'd expect is so Biden did announce one person specifically that he's planning to put into his actual like cabinet position, and that's Neera Tanden.
Oh yeah, I did hear about this.
And she's being put up as the director of what is it? Management and budget, I think. What is it considered? I want to find the actual. This is what she's been put up for. Come on. Yeah, so she's the been nominated as the next director of the Office of Management and Budget, which is like sort of a mundane appointment to some degree, but it's still important. The problem with her, besides a lot of stuff, is that so she is the president currently of the Center for American Progress. She works at the lead position of the Center for American Progress with John Podesta. That's what it is. Who's like one of the he's very centrist, but they treat him like he's a boogeyman on the right wing because his name is notable, and he helps run a place that's called Progress, and apparently that's threatening. So she's super problematic because her whole career of the last like decade is she worked with the presidential campaign of Bill Clinton. She worked with the presidential campaign of Barack Obama. She advised Hillary Clinton's successful 2016 primary campaign and her unsuccessful continuation of that. She also helped draft the Affordable Care Act. But beyond that, which those things are like not great, she's very, very like centrist Democrat norm. So her biggest issues personally and through the Center for American Progressive or whatever the fuck it's called, who cares? Her big things besides working towards the passage of the ACA, which is already like basically what Biden wants to do again. It's let's make insurance a huge part of everybody's life so that poor people are fucked. She opposes directly Medicare for All, and instead has put forward her own version of it that's called Medicare Extra for All, which is essentially the exact same thing that like Buttigieg and those people were presenting as like Medicare, which is why don't we keep the system exactly like we have it now, but call it something that has Medicare for All in the title? It doesn't do anything for people. It is literally the same thing I've been talking about for months with Joe Biden's plan of like, well, we'll put some extra insurance in there so that things could be more expensive for poor people. But people who are slightly less poor, some of them might get in. She also since a few years ago has been endorsing job guarantee, which is like it's like half a code word, half a policy that's designed to combat ideas of welfare and UBI. Job guarantee, I had to look up the specifics of this for a while in my weird, uncomfortable morning. So job guarantee is a system in which the country guarantees that jobs can be done by the people who don't have jobs. Essentially, it is the let's just say we're helping version of that whole system. So here's the more direct version. So the different versions of this that are more like common to find in different countries, there's Keynesianism, which is it's sort of a more like multifaceted take on how you can approach joblessness, and like it's the most complicated, like who do we need to like address specifically, and how many people can we support to just make everything work properly? It's like the more complete, thought out, like let's help people version. Then there's full employment and full employability, which are sort of like the those are the actual like original catchphrases of like full employment can mean a lot of things, down to like, well, we have people doing, let's say, like Joe Biden suggested the other week, community service, but they'll get things paid for. And then full employability is what America keeps pushing for, which is the like, well, we'll put job training up as something you can still buy, but maybe we'll support it slightly. And then technically you have skills if the jobs open up. And in reading this stuff, I knew it kind of was based around this, but a lot of it is just because if you represent your country's people as being employed or employable instead of in various states of like having or not having enough money and work, you can get like basically better returns on like investments in your country's like goods and stuff, because it looks better. It's basically just, hey, it sounds good when we say this. Universal basic income is one of the most simple, effective means in which you do what actually happens with money, and it always moves from the people without money to the people with money. Like, if you have money and you barely have money, you generally have to spend it to survive, and it moves to the places you spend it to, and then that moves to like higher and higher levels of like government or people who are wealthy enough to like have a need for collecting all this money. The problem with the system that she's putting forward is that she's just putting forward an idea that we need to quell the idea of UBI or UBI-like things and just go back to saying people could get jobs if they wanted them. So that really sucks. Opposing Medicare for All really sucks. And then also, from all the things I can find, she just personally hates Bernie Sanders' ideas and the people who support Bernie Sanders as like a thing. Apparently, she just really dislikes that whole wing of everything. And that's just sort of like a footnote on everything about her. Is like, also, she hates Bernie Sanders and is one of the people who like brought the idea of Bernie bros ruining politics into politics. So she's like the worst person to have for like part of your cabinet. And then the last big thing for hey, what's Grandpa Shitpants doing that we don't like is well, I mean, we would like that though. Is that when he wheels up into the White House in his cast boot, he's also considering bringing Rahm Emanuel in. For people who have been dunking on the idea of the West Wing is bad, and, well, it's entertaining. We like the West Wing. It's not like all of Obama's staff loved the West Wing and acted like it was a dictionary of how to be politics, which is where you get like crooked media and all that stuff. It's actually, well, Buttigieg talking about like he has West Wing parties all the time, and that's like why he got into politics. But like West Wing as a show, much like Seinfeld colored how comedy is handled in the US, West Wing colored, unfortunately, how politics are thought of by a generation in the US. And Rahm Emanuel, he was a very like image first, but corruption like secretly before that. He has like four. So he was the mayor of Chicago for a long time until just recently. He has like 4 people that worked with him that he hired that are in like federal prison for like 10 plus years for the corrupt shit they did. And his whole thing was beautifying Chicago. So like he has an ongoing project that's getting like still worked on even though he's not there as of like 2019, in which they're like prettying up the waterfront, and he spent millions and millions of dollars on their train system, which I appreciate. And the thing I heard floated for him is like, well, he'll be in transportation, which is like, that's fine. I don't dislike somebody who's willing to try and make things look good by promoting transportation. That's a big thing for me. Like, that's one of my, like, I'll vote for a good transportation person, except he also closed like a record number of schools in his tenure in minority neighborhoods because they were underperforming. He moved, like, he essentially closed everything that wasn't good enough out of like neighborhoods that needed it the most because, I mean, they're not white, but you know, whatever. Oh, I forgot to mention that piece of one of the communications people that I was getting it mixed up, I think. So one of the people who is also working for them as like an underperson in Biden's all-female communications team, she works for a place that also one of their big things was eliminating all of the transparency in New York that would let people know how ineffective what's his name, Bloomberg's enhancements to policing were. So like the example, the like broken windows and like stop and frisk and all that stuff, as a communications person, her communications experience is largely based on working with a company that got rid of the idea that people could find out about how bad that was for the people in Chicago or in New York.
Mhm.
So that's something else to keep in mind. It's essentially a perfect storm of all these people who are uh, built to get rid of our current problems by kind of making them not look like problems to, let's say, our parents. Which sucks, but also they could be worse than that, because I found all this information on very neutral parts of the internet. So there's also a good chance there's other shit that isn't great. But this is kind of what we knew was going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Anyway, bringing Rahm Emanuel in, whole reason I'm talking about West Wing. So he is, according to most people involved in the West Wing and stuff like that, and people who know politics and picked up on the little things they did, the main character named Josh in the West Wing, that's sort of the example of how, if you just color it the right way, a villain can be the main character that everybody roots for. He was based off of Rahm Emanuel. Like, that is the person that they based him off of for the things in the show, including the nicknames they call him and the events that happen are things taken from Rahm Emanuel's career. Like, they call him Rambo over the phone, and that's literally Rahm Emanuel's nickname. It's not like conjecture that this is based off of him. So having it be this whole, like, the last couple of years, people have been like, hey, we need to get away from this kind of politics. And then being like, having Biden float this idea, what if we took the person who was the example of all of this? Like,
Here's the literal main character of all
yeah,
that.
It's one step away from just being like, let's put Aaron Sorkin in the office. Like, it's so fucking stupid. Anyway.
Oh, God.
And that's what I have to say about that, Jack. That's been your first of many Malarkey minutes. This was all Madison's idea, so direct any problems you have with the Malarkey minute to Madison.
Yeah, you can angrily DM us at Vegeta42069 on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Yay.
DM the shit out of us.
Especially if you have recipes.
Yeah, actually, if you want to DM us with stuff we like, food, drinks, that kind of stuff, we'll take pictures of cats. I'd love it.
Yeah.
You can follow us for at least once a week, some pictures of our food. So that's always important. Now I feel like I want to ask you if you have anything else you want to talk about, because the last thing I have to talk about is pretty stupid.
Okay. No, I think I'm good. I think we covered all of my ire with the Princess Switch.
This has been a weird week, so I understand. Yeah. So what I did on actual Thanksgiving, I wouldn't suggest people do. And this also led directly into me being on a very long video call, which I wasn't prepared for afterwards. I guess this was the day before Thanksgiving, maybe? I forget now. It doesn't matter. Anyway, no, this would have been Thanksgiving. I did Thanksgiving stuff on the day after Thanksgiving. That's why it's so weird. Okay. All right. On Thanksgiving, during the day, I got up. I made coffee. I made some turkey legs. I ate some garbage. And I sat down and turned on the once a year podcast that comes out that I listen to, Till Death Do Us Blart. And I realized that this year, the episode was a watch-along commentary for Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. The second,
Oh.
so because I'm an idiot, I bought a pack of Paul Blart 1 and 2, and I got to watching it, and I commentaried it on 2, and it hurt real bad. They actually talk during it about how they've just watched Hubie Halloween, and this is worse, and they're right. But I've been listening to this podcast for like 4 years, and I've never watched Paul Blart 2. At least not sober, and not since like it came out and I barely paid attention, maybe. It's rough, and the storyline makes no sense, and Paul Blart is a bad movie, and Paul Blart 2 is maybe worse. It's hard to say. They're really bad. But I also watched The Zookeeper last week or whatever, and that's really bad. And they talk about that too in that commentary about how they haven't watched it because like they have respect for themselves. I'm like, yeah, that's right. Wow. Everybody should watch Paul Blart 2, because what it does do is remind you that you're not trash like some versions of your life could be. If you were sitting around like Paul Blart 2, can't wait, legitimately, like, I don't know what to tell you. You're wrong, but also like, I could see watching that and making it like a dark ritual, which is sort of what this whole deal is about. A man eats a banana that's like most of the way black in a scene, and they just sit on it, and he like just eats this like old banana. They're in Las Vegas, and there is a like security like weapons invention expo, and that's real. There's really one of those, and some of the stuff they're looking at is apparently not entirely fake. There's a man in a scene that is showing off a glue gun, which is later used because they're like, see, it looks like cum. Huh? And he's like, it'll make a big sticky mess with its incredible glue foam. And I don't know why that guy's there. He's not a Happy Madison regular. I don't think that he's like trying to act terribly. So that was weird. There are 2 scenes where people are attacked by a large bird that are played off like, isn't that funny? It's not.
I don't remember the bird.
So there's a man playing piano, which multiple people at this point have dubbed the Shadow Man, and have possibly decided that he is the actual architect of Paul Blart's misery, because this movie's so bad that of course people are trying to like make sense of it. He's in the backyard of the casino, and he's playing piano and looking over and smiling at Paul Blart once in a while. Well, Paul Blart is fighting with like a large cormorant or something. And he's like punching it, and like it's attacking him. And that's like a minute long or more of that just happening. And then the piano guy looking over like, hey. It's weird, and it's rough, and he's extremely mean to everybody. He's like supposed to be the main character who's like lovable in some way, and everything about him is the worst. He starts off the movie by the person he marries or is marrying at the end of the first movie, his girl trophy. Married him for 6 days and then divorced him and took all his money. His mom had him come stay at her house, and then she gets hit by like a milk truck, and then his daughter is going to go to college. Like, that's supposed to be like the uplifting, like, well, he's doing a good job with that. And then he gets super butthurt about the idea that she might go to a college that isn't right next to him, and treats it like she's being evil to him. And also,
Nice.
they just have a lot of like the Kevin James movie stuff that if you know what I'm talking about, you know why it's terrible.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've seen it. When was that?
Oh God. Do you know when it came out?
In my head, like 2008, but I bet it was like not that long ago.
I'm trying to even establish a time frame because I honestly don't even know.
I'm gonna guess 2012 because that's when the universe.
That sounds right. Yeah, that sounds right. I probably saw it maybe like 2014 or 15, something. It definitely wasn't on my radar as something I needed to see as soon as possible. So,
and would you rank
but I
it
did date someone that was really into the first one, like really into the first one.
Hey, we've all made mistakes. Holy shit, though. That first movie's fucking terrible.
It's pretty bad.
Well,
I've seen it a few times.
so is the second one your favorite movie or in your top 5?
I honestly can't remember a distinct plot between the two of them enough. Probably the first one I would prefer over the second one.
So,
what I remember.
What if I requested that you pay $2 and rent it?
I would maybe indulge in such a request.
Look, half the season is a good movie and you should watch it and you'll feel good about it.
Okay.
Paul Blart 2, though, we could really get into some art with that. I'm just saying, you don't have to, but if you decide to.
I mean, I'm assuming I'm going to really like Happiest Season, and then it'll be like a good movie.
Yes.
So I'll need something to kind of balance the goodness of that movie.
Yeah.
Or else it'll just be weird. So yeah, I should probably counteract with some Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Well, on that note, I'm gonna end this podcast before you change your mind.
That seems fair.
In what is now a dark ritual, Bajabbers, because I want them to bring that back. Please listen to this flashing sweater.
I can't even switch it. Oh no. Alright. Be gone. Christmas thoughts.